Well, hello and welcome everybody to episode 36 titled Thankyou and Goodbye Sir Frank Williams. It is the Lights Out F1 podcast for Monza. And tonight I've got myself, Josh, I've got Dr. Aussie as usual, and we've got a special guest, ZenRazo. Welcome to the podcast, gentlemen.
G'day, boys. How are you tonight?
I'm excited because we finally had an exciting race.
No, F1 is boring.
This definitely was a race that you could not fall asleep to.
Well, after Spain and after Spa, we needed this. But, F1 tends to do this to us, doesn't it? Every year we have a couple of real,
Just when you lose
boring
hope.
Fans. They all come out, all the boring, chanters, and then bang, we're given something special.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes as predictable as it may seem, there always is a chance for some complete randomness to occur.
You can't get more random than this weekend.
Well, the craziness didn't start on Sunday. It's pretty much, we saw it last year and we saw it again this year. Just the qualifying, it was let's talk a little bit about it before we get into the main points. But the track limits were obviously, they were pretty good this year.
I like what they're doing with this new track limits, and I like how they show it. Like, I don't know why they're only choosing one or two corners. They should just do it on every freaking corner, as far as I'm concerned. But it's better than nothing, right? And they seem to be very strict on it too, so it's good.
I think the reason that they were particularly picking on Parabolica, that is definitely a corner that there is significant advantage to be gained from going out very wide and getting that run down the straight, because as we know, Monza's all about speed and carrying as much speed out of the corner. Compromising 10 metres of track for 5 kilometres more top speed, it's pretty rewarding. So that definitely is probably the reason why they picked on Parabolica so much. But the other corners, there are a few, but there's a couple that you don't want to get pinged on if you make a mistake, if you go wide and you don't gain anything,
Sure. Just quickly, in regards to track limits, do you think we should just go black and white? You go over that white line, you're past the track limits? Because,
that's what I think.
Some tracks, they go, as long as you got 2 wheels on the curb or something like that. And it's always different for every track. And Brundle always says it. Why can't it just be the white? Why can't it be the white line? Like,
that's what the track's there for.
No, that's definitely right, and I totally agree with you. And everything being equal, that is the way to go. But you have to always take into consideration, if the guy made a mistake, he went out wide, did he gain an advantage? And as many corners as there are that, yes, you probably can gain an advantage, there's several corners that you definitely don't gain an advantage, even though it doesn't seem on camera like you lost much time. You definitely didn't gain anything by doing it, So that's, I think, the grey line, or the thin black line, call it what you want.
I don't know. I don't know.
Go on, Josh.
I just feel like it should just be the white line and that's it, regardless.
I'm with you on that, because I get what Zen's saying, where you could go off track and probably detrimental to your lap time and yourself for going out there. But at the end of the day, I agree. The white line, if you're over it, that's it. You're out of limits.
I guess in qualifying you could enforce that, because everyone is going for the absolute maximum, and if that driver does make a mistake and goes out wide and compromises his lap time anyway, well, it would make no difference to him if that lap time got deleted or not. But in a race scenario, that's a different story.
Anyway,
I
don't know. I just think it's something that is never explored enough. Amongst the community.
I'm just happy that they're doing what they're doing now to begin with, compared to what we've had previously. At least it's something, and they're picking a few of the pertinent corners, like Zen said. The parabolic is your slingshot down that long straight. So, it's good. I actually, that's why I brought it up, because I think it's a good thing. I like where it's going.
Yeah, I have
Definitely, and I mean, I think Brundle was saying that they can't do it on all the tracks yet because they don't have the sensors in all the tracks.
They got to have
You
the
know,
sensors
so that's
there
another.
too.
You know, obviously, if they can do it, they will, and sooner than later, no doubt, most tracks will have it.
Well, there was
But-
also there was also the Sorry, I'll let you finish your point, Aussie, before I go to the
No,
next one.
I was going to actually move on as well, and I was going to say, because you started off saying about the quality traffic jam, like last year, they brought in the minute 43 minimum lap time, was it, or maximum lap time that you had to do when you're coming out? But I don't think it seemed to help too much. The thing that stood out to me was Jenson Button. He even said he was appalled at the lack of respect that these drivers have for each other. He said, back in my day, when you come out of Ascari, you just lined up. You just waited for your turn.
I don't really. I mean, yeah, who cares? But for me, I thought it was just fun to watch them fight like that. It's like, I know it. I mean, it looked really unprofessional last time they did it, but this time it was just, I don't know, it was exciting to see them all race around on a quali lap. It was.
I tend to agree. I found it entertaining last year, ridiculous as it was.
So did
I was just sitting. I was on the edge of my seat, going, "What the hell is going to happen here?" So, to be honest, you know, all right, Q2, but Q3, I guess the Mercs, they triggered it. They went a minute earlier than normally, so that gave everyone plenty of time, right. And obviously we know that, the Mercs did not need a tow, so they were always going to go first anyway, But, look, it was pretty messy in the F2s. In the qualifying for the F2s, they did it really bad, just like the F1s did last year.
That's exactly what they did last year. Remember, half the F2 field were hauled into the stewards' room after their qualifying. But
that's right. And not much different this time either.
Oh man, it is Monza. It's unique because the tow is worth.
It's funny.
I think they were saying from 0.5 to 0.7 of a second of a lap. The tow.
Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of people don't like Monza. I love it, and it.
You do.
I love Monza. And we also saw the race between Ocon and Kimi in Q2.
They thought, this isn't Q2, this is the race starting here. I mean...
That was insane. I've never seen anything like that for a long time.
Because Ocon fully defended into turn one, so basically your hot lap is ruined right there and then. Yeah. And then he continued to defend through... I mean, I understand what he's doing because... If Kimi did get past him, Ocon's going to just be passing him back again. So I understand why he's trying to hold him back there, but the real point here is you're just both stuffing your own laps up here, man.
Oh, definitely.
It's so good to watch. Yeah. Though. I loved it.
I agree with both of you. It's a great spectacle, and I'm really not one of these ones who this is ridiculous, we should change it for such and such reason, because at the end of the day, man, these guys are professionals. They've freaking got their... the engineers can time everything to the last second. It's up to them, man. They want to wait till the last second and you risk it. Bad luck.
Yeah. I mean, if track evolution is that vital, then you can wait till the last second. But if you, if you don't think it's worth it, get out there and go.
Definitely. It actually reminded me of the old, in the 90s, when they just used to have the 1 hour session.
Yeah, and everyone used to just sit in the pits.
Yeah, you'd have your 12 laps, and but back earlier on, it would be when it would rain, or if it was a bit, the conditions weren't right, then they would all wait till right at the end. And this kind of stuff, the racing, because what they would do, they would just fuel up to do 4 or 5 laps because it was near the end of the session, and they were racing each other in qualifying. 91, 92. Definitely.
As Josh said, he loves the qualifying at Monza, and I mean, I love the qualifying at Monaco. I mean, quite often it's more about the qualifying than the race there, but I agree with Josh. I mean, no other track gives us this like Monza. No,
it doesn't.
Yeah, especially with this new generation of cars now, the tow, like some of the drivers were saying, every year it gets more and more vital. Definitely when the cars were narrower, especially the wheels. I reckon the tyres make a huge difference because they're so big, and we know how much turbulence comes off those tyres. But, the Michael Schumacher days, it definitely wasn't really a thing. One or two teams tried it, failed, and gave up.
With those cookie cutter tyres that they had and everything. But anyway, that was qualifying at Monza. We don't normally talk too much about qualifying, but we just wanted to quickly just go through a couple of those points before we got into the meat of it. So... let's get into it.
Yeah, 5 lights on, 5 lights out. First light tonight, guys and gals. We're going to talk Williams because it's an end of an era there. Claire Williams sold Williams, and yeah, the Williams family no longer own the Williams team, which is crazy to think about.
After 43 years, it is the last standing old school team, you know. I mean, I guess you could say Ferrari is there, but they're never changing, are they? I mean, McLaren has changed and morphed into a whole new McLaren, and Williams was probably one of the last ones from that generation.
Yeah. Well,
I think I like to use something that Enzo said about those kind of teams back in the day, the garageristas. And I think that Williams, I think Williams is the last of that. McLaren might have been that, but I think McLaren have, like you said, morphed into something almost like a manufacturer in their own right.
Yeah.
Barring the engine, you know. Whereas Williams, they are the last of those, and they were around in the 70s. When, you know, Enzo called them that. All those kind of teams, from Lotus to Williams to even McLaren,
I'm sure most people out there know, but just for the ones who might not realise that, you know, Sir Frank Williams, you know, little old Frank, 43 years, started, I think, 1978, did they start? I think that was their debut, 43 years ago. So 9 Constructors' Championships and 7 Drivers' Championships. And interestingly enough, their very first champion was Alan Jones, good old Aussie, 1980 for him.
Yeah.
I think that's what sparked my interest for him.
That's before my time, gentlemen.
All right, then.
Well, that was
Josh.
89.
Well,
I was born in 89, so there you go.
So let me ask you then, what would be your, I guess, standout Williams memory? Like, do you have an image or something that stands out for you?
Oh, it's probably just a weird one, but when they were Williams BMW, I don't know why.
Yeah.
That was just an era that I remember watching a lot of when they were BMW Williams or whatever way around it was called. But that's my main memory, earliest memory, I think.
I think that was the last of their glory years, to be honest. And Montoya in 2002, I'd have to say he was a little bit unlucky not to win that championship that year. There was the incident with Barrichello at Indianapolis, and then Verstappen Senior.
Verstappen Senior drove over Montoya's car, basically, and broke his rear wing. And
Brazil, I think it was.
Of winning the championship.
But I do, you know, and I think Montoya at that stage got the record at Monza for the fastest lap in Formula One, which wasn't broken until Kimi did it 2018, I think, in the Ferrari at Monza too. But that BMW engine, 22,000 RPM in that Williams, that was the last of the glory days.
Yeah, I followed. I was never an out-and-out Williams fan myself. I've never really been a fan, but I followed Villeneuve a lot when he was there, and I followed Montoya a lot as well when he was in the Williams. I mean, back in the day in the Mansell era, I was never really a Mansell fan because I was in this Senna camp. But but the iconic, you know, tyre blowout of Mansell at Adelaide, you know, in the when was that? 1985 or 86?
86. And that was for me because in Australia then, that was the only race that we got televised. All the other races, we didn't get them back then in the 80s. I don't think we got proper Formula One and even at a delayed telecast until the 90s. But 86, and it was on prime time. I was only a kid just walking past the TV where I see this car losing control, sparks flying. I'm thinking this man's going to die, you know. And then he gets out of the car.
Everywhere of that,
yeah, and he gets out, and I think that was, even though it took me another 3 years because of the television coverage, but I never forgot that moment, and it stuck with me. And then in, you know, when was it, 92, when Mansell absolutely destroyed him in what we can say was probably the most technologically advanced car ever made by Williams, by anyone, you know, at the time.
Active suspension and the
everything. It had
ground effects, everything. Yeah.
it had the whole, when you go to a dealership and you go, I want all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
This car had it. But nevertheless, it stuck with me, and Mansell destroying them, and then later on going to IndyCar and almost doing the same thing, winning the championship there. But that stuck with me, and I've been a Williams fan ever since. And I guess, after what Josh said, the BMW era, once BMW left, I was sad because I knew that without with a solid engine manufacturer, it would always be hard.
I was thinking today, Frank being Frank and an old school racer, and this is what he's known for best part of the last 40 years. I wonder how he would have felt waking up on Monday, no longer having any association with it. If he's just out of habit, does he just go to his office or
Yeah, that would
be...
Frank. Well, yeah, that'd be weird. It's really ironic, too, because Williams, while they haven't been successful recently, the Williams eSport team have had quite opposite, They're represented really well. They've won a few...
That's a good point. They're actually quite strong, aren't they?
Yeah, a very strong eSports group, sim racing group. And, it's just a juxtaposition from, Williams... 43 years old, being sold out of the family, and just recently the esports side of it is doing better than the real world motorsport side. I don't know. It was just a weird comparison.
Well, the way I see it, Williams, and I don't know who actually is responsible for it, but Williams' ability to find talent has never been in question. I mean, they got George Russell. He was the F2 champion. Not Lando, not Albon. It was George Russell. So they got the better driver here, and they've got some... who is it that's in the Williams Junior program that won the... I think it was the F3 race this weekend as well. So they've got some drivers, in the background. It's just unfortunate that their ability to build a championship... Let's not even say winning car. Let's say a competitive car. Has been over the last 10 years. It's really dwindled. Unfortunately, they are on the way back though. Compared to when you compare this year to last year and the year before, they are on an upward trajectory. It's just unfortunate that a lot of other teams are also on the upward trajectory, relatively speaking. One team in particular, not so much, but but still they're technically at the bottom still.
Cash is king.
That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. In F1, unfortunately, cash is king, and the bankroll just got away from Williams as the times changed. I, for one, though, do hope that the Williams name, just like the McLaren and the Ferrari, just sticks around. I hope the new owners, aren't in a hurry to just, they won't change it immediately, but because they don't want to upset a lot of people, surely. But I hope they actually stick with the name, in some way.
I think that
it'd be silly
not
to. I think
that's
so
right.
Too.
There's a few clauses and conditions that are in place anyway that will not prevent, but work against them if they were to want to change their name. For example, they need to get unanimous vote from all the other teams if they want to change the name. Yeah. And secondly, if they do actually change the name, then they have to pay the $50 million to re-enter Formula One, because technically they become a new team.
Yeah, they need to pay the registration fee again. That's
registration fee, yeah.
Sale, so.
That's right. So it wouldn't be necessarily in their interest at all to, and not just that, they would also lose whatever was negotiated in the Concord Agreement for the heritage fund that the old guard teams get.
Actually,
there'd still be some of that.
Any thought? I wonder if that's just comes with the sale.
Oh, there did be. Well, it will go with the sale. Because it's to the team, and the team stay as Williams, so it does. But you change the name, you don't get that anymore, and you have to pay back in the day it was $50 million. God knows what it is now, registration fee. That's right.
Yeah.
The only
so we're not going to break our piggy banks anytime soon, Josh, to start a team.
No, it's not as easy as F1 2020 makes it.
No, definitely not. The only thing I'd be worried about is if this company was to sell the team again in 4 or 5 years' time. Well. Then, who knows what could happen.
Look, it is what it is, and it is definitely an end of an era, as we said at the start there. And as much as us, for nostalgic reasons, we want the Williams name to stick around. But at the end of the day, look, man, we've lost a lot of teams in the history of the sport. The Brabhams and the Tyrrells, they've all come and gone. And I'm sure at the time people would have been saying, "No way, Brabham can be gone. No way, Lotus can be gone." But F1
you're right.
carries on.
Yep. Yeah, and they were not just race-winning teams, but championship-winning teams as well back in the day.
Yep.
Well, if you've got any memories of your own guys out there listening, please share them with us. We'd love to read them. Discord as well. You can join us there and share what you've remember about Williams. And don't forget as well to follow, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff on your favourite poddy platform, wherever you're listening on. Anyway, that's light one. Light number two. It says incidents, but first we have to talk about Ferrari because they were it was a shocker weekend, shocking race, one to forget, and lucky there was no Tifosi there to upset in person.
I'm in two minds with that. Like, on the one hand, the way the race panned out, and I mean, I'm sure by now everyone knows, with AlphaTauri winning, the other Italian team.
Spoiler warning.
It's a bit, bittersweet that that the Tifosi weren't there.
No, it was also a bit like that.
Yeah. But Ferrari, wow, we were saying it last week in our podcast, and anyone talking F1 has been saying, oh wow, Ferrari, how are they going to shape up at Monza? Well, they didn't shape up.
The brakes that happened to fail on Vettel's car, do Haas buy the brakes off Ferrari too? Is that one of those parts that...
yeah, that's a good point. I would say, depending on what you mean by brakes, caliper, rotor, no. But they would be buying it off the same supplier that Ferrari do, though.
Yeah, because
right?
I just thought
be
about
it Brembo or whatever.
Yeah.
But in terms of the master cylinder and pedal and all that, probably.
Because, remember, I don't know if they're still having it, but Haas were having big issues with the brakes.
That was their number one problem last year.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's right. But I think that was because all the teams, it doesn't matter if they're running Brembo or whatever the other brand was, they can mix and change pad compounds and stuff. And I think that was Haas's problem, that they weren't happy with the compound relative to the rotor and things like that. Whereas what happened to Vettel, I mean, he literally blew a line.
Yeah.
Complete hydraulic.
As he was coming down the straight, I mean, Crofty said, "Oh, it's glowing red." It wasn't glowing; it was on fire. So it was definitely a hydraulic leak of some sort there. And with the heat, it just caught fire, and he had no brakes. And if nothing, his exit looked spectacular going through that styrofoam at the end of the straight.
I was when I first saw it, I go, and a lot of the F2 race had gone wide in turn one and taken to that escape road, and pretty much every driver went as quick as they could, maybe clipped the odd styrofoam here and there. But when I saw Vettel go right through, I go, "Come on, man!"
It looked like he just cracked the shits.
Yeah, it looks like he just cracked the shits. Yeah, exactly. And then when the radio chat came through that his brakes failed, okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. I would have done exactly the same.
We need more styrofoam obstacles around the track because it does look spectacular when they hit it.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I would love to have seen a camera shot of Vettel getting out of the car. There's probably bits of styrofoam everywhere coming out as he's out of the car.
Do they have an in-car shot of that?
I haven't seen one, but
no, there should be. There would be somewhere out there.
It's like in the NRL Grand Final or the AFL Grand Final, the players come through the flag. He was going through the styrofoam.
And then after the safety car restart, which was triggered by K-Mag, which we'll talk about, Leclerc smash into that barrier. Oh man, when that camera shot to that, I winced because it was a big hit.
I did, yeah, I did too. It was definitely a big hit, and taking into consideration that not much earlier, Vettel had a brake fail. I thought that was straight out of it was in Parabolica, but I thought it was in the braking zone area, that going straight, a little bit like Webber did back in the day. And yeah, I thought big hit. And then when we saw the replay of him, it was actually nearly on exit when you're trying to get on the throttle at Parabolica, that he lost it, and he had two, bites at the cherry, and the second one bit him because
Yeah.
just goes to show that car isn't. It's not just engine, man.
Nah, the taily back end flicked out. Off
That
he goes.
was definitely all on Leclerc, that one. And don't forget, it was cold tyres as well. He had the hards on.
Yeah, he had the hards
hard
on.
tyres on, so they probably weren't up to temps yet. But nevertheless, I mean, it is just a shitbox, like our podcast said last week. That car, Ferrari, just at the absolute low of lows. And next week they're off to Mugello, to their
I'm hoping
their
they do
1,000th race.
I really hope they do better at Mugello.
I don't know. I think it'll be pretty much like Spa was, because it's a fast track, Miguel. We've never seen an F1 car go around there in a race conditions, even though back in the day Ferrari tested there regularly. But I don't know. I think it's not going to suit him. It's maybe not going to be as bad as Monza. I'm not meaning about the DNFs. I'm meaning about the actual genuine pace at Monza. It was terrible.
I think this would be their worst track for the year with that engine that they have. They're just...
It was crazy how far backwards Leclerc was falling after the race start.
Yeah, he initially had a good getaway, didn't he?
He was all right, and then just started going backwards.
Yeah, I think there's something fundamentally wrong, and it can't just be the engine. And when I say engine, I'm talking the ICE, the internal combustion engine. There's other things at play here.
There's definitely chassis issues.
Yeah, chassis issues definitely, because Leclerc, and we've seen Vettel struggle all season so far. Yeah. That car really being really twitchy on him, and Vettel is definitely, with the blown diffuser days at Red Bull, he dominated. And if he doesn't have that rear end settled, he is not happy.
No, he's not.
And that car is definitely not settled on the rear end.
I'm going to stick to my theory and say they've got Binotto issues.
Binotto issues.
Yeah, they're standing by him at the moment.
Yeah, they are, but I don't know why. I mean, I know they keep talking about, we don't want to make hasty decisions. It's not a revolving door, but man, it all points to it that, since he's got there, they have not improved once they stopped cheating.
Well, is the Binotto thing a simple case of, well, bugger it, we've got no one better at the moment?
It probably is,
Because I personally, I don't know the internal structure at Ferrari, but when Avabeni was team principal, Binotto was there. He was the engine guy. He didn't come to every race, but he was there quite a few times. So we sort of knew his presence, whereas I don't know anyone now that could take over a Ferrari that I'm aware of.
For me, in all these chats we have and every week in our podcast, that's why I put so much weight on Binotto's shoulders, more than maybe another team principal like a Zach Brown, who's an outsider who comes in to run McLaren, and but Binotto's been right there in the crux of it all, in the development and building of this engine and everything.
Maybe that's their problem. They need some outside influence to just look over.
Well, that's
everything.
that's right. I mean, people have said that for decades now. I mean, Ferrari at their most successful, they had Jean Todt, a Frenchman, team principal, Ross Brawn, an Englishman, as head designer, and Michael Schumacher, a German driver. And holy cow, did
that
they
go
kick
well,
ass? That went pretty well, yeah.
So let me just ask you both this one question before we move on from Ferrari, but who's overtaken this light? But is this exit that they had from this year's Monza? So Vettel with brake failure, Leclerc crashing out. Do you think that's better than them actually finishing the race?
Yeah, I was
winning and them finishing 16th and 17th.
On paper, yeah.
I think so. Yeah. At least they can say, we DNF'd.
Yeah, I guess, DNFs, are not unusual at Monza in history. Back in the day, Monza was a killer on the engines, and a lot of cars DNF'd, and often a Ferrari leading a race would DNF at Monza.
Yeah.
But this one, I guess if you want to put the tinfoil hat on, brake failure, and I think you noted this, Josh, in our Discord. He doesn't seem very worried about it.
No.
Was it you or was it BJ? I think BJ.
BJ.
One of the boys. Yeah, one of the boys said he doesn't seem overly concerned. Like when things are going well and things hit the fan, Vettel, he screams a lot. He lets it known that he's not happy.
Yeah.
Especially at Red Bull. This one, brake failure, guys.
I've noticed this though, and I've been saying it all year.
Very calm.
Very calm. He hasn't. And he comes out of the car. He doesn't hammer the team. This is what I said last week as well. I don't know. It's a strange dynamic that I'm finding with Vettel.
I guess he's doing
Maybe
everything.
Checked out.
Yeah, has he checked out?
Maybe.
He's a professional, so he's doing what he needs to do, and he's not,
that's what I
driving
think
any worse.
Too.
Yeah.
Is that he's not trying to burn the bridges with Ferrari.
He's a bit old school, Vettel. I think I find him he's being professional. He's not being a snotty little,
But back to my point. If you did put the tinfoil hat on, then one could say that they DNF'd on purpose.
Yeah, but that's a spectacular way to do it,
Yeah, the Leclerc's one is a little bit, I don't
what
think...
we want you to do is just drive straight on at Parabolica and ram
that
it
one's
into the wall.
We didn't mean like that, man.
Well,
but you're right. They were definitely better off DNFing than finishing that race on paper.
So, in case people out there don't realise or haven't watched the race for some reason or other, but this incident ended up with Leclerc in the wall bringing a red flag up in the race. So we had about a 15-minute break, I think it was, before the restart. Just going back 2 laps before this, because this was after a safety car restart when Leclerc rammed it in the wall, but K-Mag actually retired at the pit entry, and Hamilton pitted when the pit lane was closed. And same with Giovinazzi. They were the only 2 drivers and their side of the garages who missed the pit lane closed. Everyone else managed to get it, but
I just don't know why it took the stewards so long to give Hamilton the same penalty they gave Giovinazzi. It just seemed...
that's a very good question, Josh.
Odd. It just was a lot... there was way too much time between Giovinazzi and then Hamilton. I was like, it's the same thing.
It is, exactly, and I was saying it as well, and I'm not, without getting political or anything, I'm going to say that the stewards, being Mercedes-Benz, being the championship, leaders and winning the championship 6 times already, they had that little bit of leverage with the stewards, and that they had their argument. I figure that Alfa Romeo, they didn't put up a fight. Once that penalty came through, they took it on the chin. Yeah. And Merck, they flexed their muscle.
They did.
Well,
sometimes, it's a little bit, come on, man, just take it. Especially when you see Hamilton scootering off to go personally to the stewards. What, your appearance in front of Michael Massey is going to make a difference?
I don't like that he can do that, because that I don't think you should be allowed to interfere with the referees,
100%,
so to speak, while they're making a decision that could affect the race.
100%.
What I want to say on this subject is I'm exactly like you guys and what you said, Josh. I was initially same train of thought saying, but then when you watch the race back, I watched it this afternoon again, and when Hamilton comes in, it's very, very close to when that thing got shut, because the pit lane got shut as the safety car was deployed at the same time. What happened with Giovinazzi, he was a good 30 seconds back, so it was clearly shut. So I feel like maybe I'm just being a devil's advocate here. Both boys know I'm no Ham fan here, but I think it was a clear shut case with Giovinazzi. Like, it was long closed and he just drove straight in. Whereas they were probably checking with Hamilton, when was it closed? Did he actually have time to react or not? And as it turns out, when I read online, they had about 11 seconds to realised, and apparently it came from Germany, what Toto was saying, their team back in Germany. So they, in actual fact, they had about 8 seconds to realise that pit lane was closed and tell him not to come in. So it was very close.
Yeah, no, it was very close, and I think you're right. Hamilton and Mercedes-Benz, for that matter, can be forgiven for actually making that mistake because it was as close as you said.
Yeah.
The other teams had the time to react.
Yeah.
But once it's done, it's done.
Yes.
You know, and the rule is the rule.
Yep.
You know,
I just wanted to point that out because otherwise I 1000% agree with Josh and what you were saying, Zen, that during that red flag, Hamilton should get a penalty for going to the stewards.
I mean,
another penalty
that's what
because
happens
you
in
shouldn't be able
football.
to do that.
If you go
It's
to
exactly
the
right.
referee at halftime and complain about a yellow or a red card, you
get another one.
Yeah. So
that's
just shouldn't happen.
Is that just because of his stature? I mean,
why his stature.
Let's take the bias aside from it, but 6-time world champion, this that they actually entertain him. Like, do you think if Giovinazzi ran up there that they would have just shoot him off, or they would have given him the time of day as well?
100%. This is Mercedes-Benz and Lewis Hamilton flexing their muscle.
Gets
That's
on
all
his
it was.
scooter and scooters his way down there.
And did you see the sign? It said no scooters or no mobile, in that
No.
area.
It said it didn't translate to that, so it just said only service personnel only.
Service personnel only, okay. Which, a driver is not.
So I'm in agreement with both of you there. That was very strange, and I'm surprised that there's not more made of it purely because it was in the middle of the race. If he's in his car and there's no red flag, he's not going to pull over and run up to the stewards and then get back in his car.
Yeah.
Like, if he did that after the race, that's a different story. Good luck. Go up there.
Do you remember was it Vettel, when Charlie Whiting was race director and
he told him to F you?
Did he tell him to F you? And he got in a bit of trouble for that, did he not? Was it
over the radio? He yelled it out, "Fuck you, Charlie," or something. And
was it actually Vettel?
Yes.
Or was it another? Yeah, I thought it was. I thought
think
it was a high
wasn't that
profile
at Canada last year?
No, I think it was even before that.
I do remember that, but I don't know when that did happen. But yeah, I do recall that happening.
Canada, but when did Charlie die? He died.
He died at the start of last year, so it wasn't Canada last year. Massey was in control by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's sorry, get on.
But yeah, like drivers, in the heat of the moment will, always, argue the fact, right? But when in a classic example here is if it was just Hamilton that got pinged, the bleeding hearts will always go with Hamilton, okay. But Giovinazzi got pinged as well, and he didn't flinch. He got on with it, So what makes Hamilton, other than the fact that he's a 6-time world champion, what makes him special here? Why should he get preference?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It's because he's got about 600 billion Hamboy fans behind him, and Giovinazzi's got about 6 million. So
yeah, and we should not rate
the vocal. But it's the vocals on social media after the fact. That's why you keep hearing about it.
You're right. But that should never influence the referees. And thankfully, the penalty was the same, right? I guess our argument here is, why did it take 2 minutes longer to be issued to Hamilton over Giovinazzi?
That's the question I have. Well,
yep.
Anyway, that's end of light 2, and then we go into the red flag because it was a race of two halves. Because I loved it after that restart. We had a grid start, and we got to see sort of what a reverse grid race in Formula One would look like.
Wait. I just remembered now when you said I loved it. What was the ratings for this race, boys? We usually do that at the start. So, what's your rating, Josh?
Oh, it has to be a 10 out of 10.
Wow, 10.
Ooh, wow.
Okay.
Wow.
We had a great qualifying, and you had a race that had everything.
Oh.
Okay.
No, never go 10, dude, because what if Mugello's better? What do you do then?
Well, for
then
Monza,
you give 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I actually was in two minds, like when I was thinking about what do I score this race, because I did like it. I didn't love it. It was a great spectacle. I'm still not even sure if it was my favourite race of the year so far. Like, I still think I enjoyed race 1 more than this. So with that fact alone, I give it an 8 out of 10.
Well, for me, I also give it an 8 out of 10. I think, it was, to me, Monza. What Monza does. Monza always creates, most of the time, fairy tales. We got it with Gasly. It creates controversy. We got it with Hamilton. But, in the first half of the race, it was very status quo. The only variable was that Bottas was in 7th.
Yeah, so I guess we'll discuss more of that as we go, but that's why I just wanted to get that ratings. Sorry for the interruption. Let's carry on with Light 3, which was the red flag, the race of two halves.
Yeah, the reverse grid racing. I made a comment, and then I think it was Brundle or Crofty said it as well. But yeah, I was loving it, and I was like, why did Mercedes veto bloody reverse grids? Because just look how good this is. I don't know what you guys thought, if you thought the same.
I thought it was a reverse grid. Here we go. We've got it. And then, like you, I wasn't in the chat this week because I was watching the race on about 15 minutes delay. So, again, I actually wrote it down. Here's our reverse grid that people have been crying for. And about 5 minutes later, Crofty said it. And that's probably one of the parts I didn't like about this race, that it became a little bit artificial in that sense of it. Because we had these bullshit rules, which I had never realised during a red flag was even possible, that you can just use a pit stop up, as Stroll did. But let me ask you this. Crofty kept harping on about, here's the reverse grid, I'm loving this. But there really wasn't much happening other than Hamilton, once he caught up to the back of the pack, passing through the cars. But there wasn't much other passing going on.
It showed just how much these cars are affected by the car in front.
Especially the Mercedes.
Yeah.
Especially those Mercs.
But it just meant we had someone different at the front. And I think we had a lot more overtaking than I think you're giving credit for. But
yeah. Raikkonen got overtaken 12 times.
That's what I'm saying. We had Raikkonen falling back, and we had Hamilton moving forward.
Yeah, but that's what we would expect in a reverse grid race anyway. So
that's right. Yeah.
It's not like it's like this is so unbelievable. And we also, I've lost my train of thought. Someone else go.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm still with you that I wouldn't do a Mercedes and veto it completely. I would definitely,
which we can see why they are vetoing it.
Yeah, you can definitely see why they're vetoing it. But I would like to see this as what they were saying, as a qualifying race. Instead of let's replace the qualifying with a championship reverse grid qualifying race for the main race, so that there's no points given on it. You're just setting the grid with maybe a 20-lap sprint or 25-lap sprint or something.
Yeah, but what sets that grid?
The championship order.
So Hamilton starts first?
No, last.
Last, right.
It's a reverse grid to championship.
So that's the qualifying race.
So what was so good about it also was that we had a battle for the lead. We don't get that anymore. Which was exciting, because there was a chance Sainz could take it because he was within DRS by the end of it. I mean, you don't see Bottas attacking Hamilton on the last lap.
So whose fault is that? Is that Mercedes or Bottas's fault that we're not getting a battle for the lead?
That's clear. Oh, it's probably a bit of Bottas, screwing up his starts and not, nailing it at quali. But I can't really blame him there. Hamilton's that good, but like Mercedes are so dominant that we don't get a fight for the lead. So
I know, but remember at Spa, supposedly Bottas didn't get the memo.
Yeah,
about the
to answer your question, I would say it's both. I would say it's a bit of Mercedes and a bit of Bottas, because personally, I would, after the race that we just witnessed at Monza, I wish it will never happen, but I wish something would get leaked where we could actually see the raw data of both cars, and I'd love to see if they actually are 100% equal.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess Hamo's not going to leak that data. Trust me.
Definitely not. He leaked it at McLaren, but he won't be doing it. So maybe, hopefully, Bottas might leak it one day.
Yeah, maybe.
But one thing I wanted to say, Josh, when you said the battle for the lead, this is the other thing I was thinking when I was watching it happen and unfold, and like you, it was fantastic. But that happens every week, and that's what I do watch. I mean, Hamilton goes ahead and he romps away. It's basically all we did this week is move that midfield battle that happens week in, week out. We moved it forward.
But that's way more exciting.
Oh, I don't know. See, I'm not sure if it's way more exciting. It's just that the camera's focused more on it.
No, I couldn't agree with that. It's more exciting to see a race for the lead than a race for 10th place.
Yeah, because of what it's worth. Yeah,
that's
because
true,
of what it's worth.
But when they're fighting for 4th and 5th, or like Norris trying to get to third, I find that very exciting when a lot of these people are calling it a boring race because Hamilton just romped away with it. So maybe,
well, it kind of is because it.
Well, no, I think Oz is right in one sense, and you're right in another sense, Josh. It is worth more when they're battling for the lead. There's more. How should I say, pressure on the drivers. But then again, Oz is correct. These guys are still putting in 100% when they're overtaking for 12th and 13th, as these boys were trying to do for 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, I know, but it just meant we got someone else on the podium. We got
a
dream win, AlphaTauri at Monza, an Italian team.
The fairytale.
Another fairytale.
Uh-huh.
So
let's better.
Before we get stuck down on that, we can come back to it. But I just want to ask you guys what you thought about the tyre changing in the red flag. I mean,
well, I've known that, so I had no issues with it.
You knew that they could actually take a pit stop during a red flag.
Yes.
Wow.
Man, yeah. See, I think that
I did not.
Yeah, that rule should be changed.
100% it should be changed.
No, I love it because it made this happen.
No, it did make this happen.
No, it didn't.
But
it just made Stroll get third. It didn't make anything else happen. Stroll's the only one. Stroll's the only one who benefited from it because Gasly pitted as soon as the yellow flag came out before the safety car.
Yeah, he actually pitted.
So that was all done.
Before, yeah.
The only one who got a free pit stop was Stroll. So realistically, Norris should have got third, not Stroll, because
didn't Kimi also?
No, only Stroll. I watched the KO Mini again before with my daughter this afternoon, and only Stroll got the
Are you
free
only
pit
upset
stop.
at this rule because Stroll got a podium out of it?
No, I'm upset in a sense because, yes, that podium should have been Norris's.
Yeah,
Because
so you are upset that Stroll got a podium.
Yes, I am. Because he gained 24 seconds. It's unfair.
Yeah, it is.
When everyone else has to make a
so's
pit stop.
pit stopping under a safety car. So
No.
yes, it's quicker.
It's quicker,
Yeah.
but
So it's
that's
even
kind of
quicker to do it under a red flag. I mean, if you're betting your strategy on a red flag, good on you.
Yeah, Josh has a good point there,
Yeah.
Oz. Technically, the pitting under a safety car will suit some and not others.
I mean, if you're
don't
going
know.
to say,
I
we
don't
can't
like
do
it.
red flags, then we should close the pit lane
Yes.
when we have safety cars.
that's what I'm saying. But we should just, red flag situation when the cars are there. It should be like Parc Ferme. They were even talking about opening up some parts on Hamilton's car because now they knew that he was going to be stuck in traffic. So for cooling purposes, that's I think. That's what
they were opening up, but you know what? That actually you can do that in a pit stop. It's just going to cost you time.
Correct.
Hence why they don't do it.
Yes.
Oh, look, this is a very. I'm a little bit with you, Oz. That I found it quite unfair that a couple of the cars, they literally got a free pit stop. But Josh made a very good point there, something that I didn't even consider, and he's right. Safety car or red flag, it's technically no different because it's going to suit some and it's going to not suit others.
Yeah, it's
all about timing. It is.
Yeah.
It's
We've
all
talked about
timing.
luck for drivers, and that was clearly luck for
That
Stroll.
was really dumb luck. But
It was dumb luck, but
he
you know
also
what?
had to hold that position too.
But you know what? As our next category comes out, he missed his opportunity, didn't he?
Exactly, that's what we're going to get to. But what I was going to say also is, what this red flag also got me thinking is, I remember a couple of years ago, I got excited when they said this was going to happen, but it never came to fruition. They were talking about whenever we have a safety
red flag.
car, we're going to have standing grid starts.
Red flag.
Yeah, I think that's what we should do. Instead of having a safety car and just, mind-numbingly going around for 3 or 4 laps, let's just have a red flag so that cars come into the pits, don't let them touch the cars, but then we come out onto the grid and we go again. I think it add a bit of excitement, what people are looking for. What do you think about that?
Well, the red flag created excitement.
No, it did. I know what you're saying was, but, sometimes, we always, whenever the pace car comes out, safety car, we're hoping that the safety car will be only out for a lap, 2 laps, 3 at most. And more often than not, it takes 4 or 5. And God help us if you play Codemasters, it takes longer than that.
But that's my point. So we're wasting 4 or 5 laps of the race.
Yeah, I know. But as even the drivers said themselves when they were asked about the restart, it was difficult for most of the drivers to get reset again, to go back into that adrenaline charged moment. And I have no doubt that, and Stroll was definitely one of them, it ruined their rhythm. They could not get back onto that edge of grip and took them several laps before, oh, right, I'm here. Others, were able to do it better, I guess, but it's a tough one.
I guess so. Here we are. So Josh has really changed his tune from early on when you were adamant against reverse grids. Now you really want them. I still don't want them for race situations.
Was I against them, was I?
Oh, very. You were with me.
Yeah, I was the one that's saying I want to see it. I want to see it before I judge it.
Yeah, I've definitely, if I was, I've changed my mind.
No, I'm not changing my mind for the race, but I'm willing to give it a go for qualifying purposes. But
I don't want to change quali because I think the format works.
I'm a little bit on the sense of where people are saying that it's a pretty foregone conclusion. Quali, it has lost its excitement now. With the Merc domination, it's not as exciting as it used to be, I think.
No, I mean, but that's where the new regs will change things again, and
exactly. It just sucks that we have to wait another year, doesn't it?
Anyway, that is light number 3, a very controversial one. Let us know again what you think about everything we've talked about there. Light 4, missed opportunities. Stroll was one of those in that race.
Oh, look, to take aside my
love,
anger towards his free pit stop in the red flag. But once that happened, the race was his. He should have won that race, and he knows it too.
Yes.
Yeah, he cooked it at the first chicane.
Yeah, he just.
Yeah, but he got
cold tyres or
it was definitely cold tyres and
pressure probably.
And that was my point before. The resetting yourself, after, and we only sim race. So, but I for me, when I sim race and we're in a very competitive race, you don't realise your adrenaline is high, and then when the race is over, you detune, you back down, and to do it immediately again takes a lot of focus, and I think Stroll just, to choose a better word, a little bit of lack of experience, I guess, and
that would have been a
he
hard
got caught
thing
out.
to do.
It is a hard thing to do. And that restart, every driver knows that a standing start is the most dangerous part of the race. Cars are everywhere. They're in very close proximity. And this is Monza. Turn 1 chicane. I mean, we know it in sim racing. It is, the devil's corner, so to say.
Yeah, Albon's penalty for that turn 1 incident was super harsh, I thought. But anyway.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
He was really... He did squeeze... Was it Grosjean or... It was one of the Hasses, I think.
Yeah.
He did squeeze that driver out a bit, but I'm with you, Josh. I thought it was pretty harsh. Not that it affected his race, but
No.
yeah.
Well, yeah, because Max, oh man, what happened to him?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I've got him there as another missed opportunity, because this was his chance, man. And Red Bull are normally the ones who capitalise on this sort of race. And, you know,
it just wasn't
if
his
he
day.
wins, there's 25 points. That gap is closed to Hamilton massively, but he'll be spewing. But the car just wasn't up to it, was it, this weekend?
And Bottas didn't seem to be up to it. I don't know what, like his start, the first start, just nothing. And then just off he went.
It was a snowball thing that happened there. He just got off the line bad, he got overtaken, and then he's just completely out of rhythm, and he just couldn't get it back. I mean,
that's where I was saying, like, clearly the Mercedes cannot run behind another car efficiently. It just,
definitely not.
Yeah, and clearly Hamilton could make it through the field, but I think there's a point where you get to that midfield pack where it's a little bit more competitive. And
but even Hamilton did get through the field, but even still, I was expecting him to be slicing and dicing, and he
wasn't
got
really.
caught. Yeah, he wasn't, far from. As soon as he caught Albon, his lap time dropped to 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds.
That's the major point.
And you know, we used to say, you know, you need to be over a second quicker than the car in front to be able to effectively overtake them, right?
Yeah.
We got DRS now, man. So he was 2.5 seconds quicker, and he struggled to get past the slowest cars.
And that Red Bull was struggling as it is. He had damage, and Hamilton still. This is the biggest point that people are missing. The only reason Hamilton got past Albon is because Albon made a mistake. He was stuck behind him for 4 laps.
Yeah.
Yes, he was, yeah.
As soon as Albon cleared the way for him, then he started making progress through those slower cars, like, you know, the Ferrari engined Alphas and the Hasses. So those ones were a bit of an easier pass. But I think come to a certain point, maybe, you know, who was the last one he overtook? Wasn't it Ocon? I think he overtook Ocon on the last lap. Like, next target would have been Dan. I'm sure he would have found that a lot harder. And then Bottas, I think, was the next, which a lot of people seem to focus on, that Hamilton finished very close to Bottas, even though he had a 10-second stop-go penalty. So, yes, to a certain extent, but really, I don't know, Bottas is just nowhere at the moment.
No. I mean, our man Daniel, he had a fantastic start to his race in the future Alpine team, but the opportunities for him this
was his opportunity for a podium. After last week's confidence, he said that he coming into Monza, he was more confident than Spa.
Well, you could see it at the start of that race. It looked like he might actually be in for a shot, because he had some really good pace.
Yeah, it seemed to me that the Renault didn't quite. It was fast, but it just didn't quite have the kind of advantage that it had at Spa for some reason. But a little bit of that is down to the McLarens, who really were in no man's land in Spa, and then suddenly come to Monza. Holy cow, Batman! You know, like, they were real quick. You know,
how good was Norris going toe to toe there with Bottas and actually passing him, and then. Normally you would think, oh yeah, another lap or two and Bottas will be straight back past Norris, but it never happened.
No. No. It was just, I couldn't, it was mind-boggling to see Bottas like that, but I don't know if he's happy with the way things are going at the moment, because...
I think that with Bottas there, that was a clear sign of, you know, many of the best drivers can get a bad start. It's not unique just to Bottas.
His quality was really good.
His quality was really good. He had the pace. We know that. We know that.
He always
but I think that he's. If I didn't know any better, I would say that he's already conceded defeat to Hamilton before the race even starts.
Oh, big time! You can see it in his demeanour.
That's right. Yeah, and for me, the big one for me was. By the time we ended the first lap, what was he in, 6th or 7th? 6th, yeah, it was 6th. And he's on the radio telling his guys, I've got a puncture. And-
or
That was
something.
weird.
Or something, yeah, and
Something.
this is the sign of okay, the car didn't feel good for whatever reason. He was offline for a lot of the corners, and he got muscled because of that, because guys were on the racing line and had the better grip. So he could feel that there was something, maybe not 100%, and obviously the temps aren't up, the pressures aren't up. But to pull out, I've got a puncture and that's my excuse, that was really desperational stuff, man.
And then a few laps later, or maybe 10 laps later, I don't know, he was on the radio complaining that these engine modes are shit, I can't do anything, I can't pass any cars. Like,
Exactly.
He's in a real sulk mode at the moment. He's not doing that Bottas 15.6 thing. He's just really, like you said, it's almost like he's conceded defeat now, and he's not doing himself any favours.
Unfortunately. Well, that's Light 4, missed opportunities, and plenty to talk about there. Last one, and we cannot go past it. For light number 5, we have to talk about Gasly and the AlphaTauri win. We've said it tonight 3 or 4 times, but it was a fairy tale ending.
Well, the biggest thing is, like, I've put it down here. What is it with Torro Rosso and Monza? The last time Torro Rosso AlphaTauri won a race was 12 years ago, 2008, with Vettel at Monza, and here they are with their second win 12 years apart.
Yeah, I didn't know that fact, actually, because I think it's really funny that he won it Vettel won Monza in this team, and then comes to Ferrari and he can't do that again, because it would have been his dream to win Monza in the Ferrari, but it's not going to happen.
And the most interesting fact, what that means is now with 2 wins for AlphaTauri or Torro Rosso, the team, and Ferrari, they have also got 2 wins since 2008 here, so they're equal.
Yeah, they're equal.
No one would believe.
That's insane.
Yeah, that is a bit crazy, isn't it?
I thought that's a great stat, but just what is it with Gasly and this team? I mean, we saw him for 6 months in that Red Bull last year. Every time we spoke about him on the podcast, I would call him Ghastly, not Gasly, and he was just rubbish. And he gets into that team, he gets his first podium at Brazil last year, fighting off Hamilton, which was amazing, and then here he is, winner.
He clearly just meshes so well with that AlphaTauri car. Like, it's clearly just he loves that car. Because he can drive
the car.
the
I think it's the
skin off it.
environment.
I think it's
It
the
must be
team,
environment, yeah.
I think it's the team, and I think, and this is another, we just criticised Bottas about conceding defeat to his teammate before the race even starts. To be honest, outside of Ricardo, I think every single teammate Verstappen's had is doing exactly the same thing. Even Albon, and Verstappen is top notch. We cannot deny that. The kid is damn quick.
Yep.
And Gasly last year, coming in there and just overwhelmed, I think by the sheer pace of Verstappen in all sessions, and then the pressure from the team. You are now in the top team. You have to perform. There's no don't worry, next week you'll get him. That doesn't exist when you're at the top team like Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes. That stuff doesn't exist. So I think that's a combination of things, and we can't say that Gasly was unique because it's Albon's going through exactly the same thing.
To think that this Gasly, got lapped by Max last year in the same car around Austria. Like, what he did, the way he held off Sainz, he didn't make a mistake. It had to be a good best part of 15 laps, I reckon. He was in the lead there, just defending. As Sainz was closing that gap. There was a lot of pressure on him, man, and you got to give him the credit. He held it together.
No, I totally rate the drive Gasly had for that
100%.
win. He deserved it.
It was amazing. It was great to see. But the real question now is, because obviously everyone's saying Helmut has to make the change. Man, I don't know.
No.
I'm not on that
I think
bandwagon.
if you remove Gasly again, it's just going to...
Well,
go
that's
backwards.
right. That's right. I mean, I think you got to look at it like this. let's treat AlphaTauri and Red Bull as one entity, right? For convenience sake. If you remove Gasly and put him into the Red Bull, there is no guarantee that he's going to do what he just did. There's no guarantee, all right? But if you put Albon into the Torro Rosso, there's a good chance that he's going to take time before he gets back up to where Gasly is right now. So you're better off just leaving it be, at the very least for the rest of this season, and not, wrecking the status quo. And I guarantee you, Gasly will perform. The chance of him winning another race this season are null and void, but he will get solid results. He will get that car into Q3 more often than not.
Man, I think I said it to you last week, Josh. I think that ship has sailed with the Gasly going back to Red Bull talk. I think if I'm in Gasly's shoes and I'm moving from AlphaTauri, I'm not moving to Red Bull. I'm making a move to go to Renault, or I'm going to McLaren. I would be moving to get out of the Red Bull family. If
you guys are right about it being the his environment, then he knows what the Red Bull environment is, and he clearly didn't work there. So I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think on top of that environment, it's just the max factors there, and that just obviously
that's the big one. That's the big one.
It's going to play on every driver's.
Yeah, the only driver that's been able to do anything has been Ricciardo. So.
Ricciardo,
that's
exactly.
Right.
And look, let's not ignore the elephant in the room here, Helmut Marko. If he was to take Gasly back, he is admitting that he got it wrong.
I mean, at this point, I don't know if he cares. He just wants the points, and
Helmut Marko, mate. You know that guy. He's always right.
But you mentioned the Tifosi earlier, Josh, and this is where I think it was a shame for this podium of Gasly, Sainz, and Stroll. All three of these youngsters there.
It sucks they didn't get to experience.
Such a shame, isn't it? Yeah. It's usually just people as far as the eye can see.
Because I love that podium. It's my favourite podium.
And I think kudos to the team to get out there under the podium and try their very best. I mean, obviously AlphaTauri are not a big team. I don't. Were there Red Bull guys out there with him, or were Red Bull big?
I think Red Bull were there.
I think Red Bull were there, to try and make that atmosphere for him, because that is, and I think it will be an iconic photo. Gasly just sitting there by himself.
I've got that as my background photo on my phone.
I think that's going to become very iconic.
On the podium.
Just absorbing it. I mean, I guess he actually got to stand on that podium. I mean, we talk about last year Sainz not even getting to go on the podium when he got his first podium, at Brazil.
This time he got a real podium, but still it's not real. I feel that bloke is cursed, man.
I know, it is
he's going to Ferrari.
And he's going to Ferrari, yes. Oh, poor bloke, wow. I mean, I hope he gets a win before he goes to Ferrari.
Yeah, because he's not going to get one anytime soon. Well,
what about the Italian media? Sorry, before we just move on, Josh, but the Italian media must be loving life right now, because if they're in an angry mood, they can talk shit about Ferrari. If they're in a happy mood, they can talk about AlphaTauri and Gasly.
Oh, they would be going.
No shortage of content.
No, this would be all they're going to talk about this week. So,
for sure,
can guarantee you that. But anyway, that's our 5 lights done and dusted. So, lot to talk about.
That was our longest one yet, I reckon. But, a lot did happen. It was a very interesting race. It was 2 races in one, really.
Yeah, actually, that little comment that you made earlier, Josh, about, like football, I actually did feel that this was almost like a football match of 2 halves.
Half-time.
and we had a penalty, and it didn't go Hamilton's way, and so he's 1-0 down, and we're going into the second half. It was great.
I don't know. It just sort of made me think we should do a feature and a sprint races in F1, because I kind of liked having those 2 races the way they had it, but I don't know. That's just me being me.
Let's get on to the checkered flag. Just wrap a few things up, because I don't know about you guys, but I watched the F3 races and the F2 races this weekend.
Yes, so did I, yeah.
I've got to go back and watch them, but I know they were good, so...
They were really good, and what I didn't realise is that the F3s are finishing up next week.
Mm-hmm.
It's the last round, and our boy Piastri has hit the lead after this weekend, so he's got a chance at the championship ahead of his teammate Sargent, who's only like 7 points behind him. And then you got Porsche, who's in third with on 136. But that's going to be a great finish to the season next year for those F3s, and hopefully Piastri can bring it home.
Yeah, he's been looking good all season. I've been following the F3s.
He's real solid, eh?
Yeah, there's 5 Australian drivers on the F3 grid.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. Before, and I think last year with Peroni's wild accident at Monza, the other Australian driving in the F3s, I started taking more notice of the F3 grid this year. And yeah, definitely Piastri, you know, he's I think he's won 2 races so far early on in Austria, and can't remember.
No, I believe that was his first win.
Was that the only win? But he's been extremely consistent. You know, he's
been on the podium consistently.
Yeah, that's right. And with such a large grid on the F3s there, it's all about consistency for them. He did do a great race in that the feature race. That was spot on. You know, he delivered, and Sargent actually got a bit unlucky and DNF'd. And then in the second race, he got taken out. Piastri did in turn 1. But a couple of laps later, Sargent got taken out by the third Prema car, his teammate as well.
Because the commentators are like, you know, Sargent's back in the championship lead if it finishes here, and then a few laps later, oh no, Piastri's still in the lead of the championship. Yeah, it was amazing. Like, it was great viewing. Actually, I'm not sure on the wins, because now I'm looking at the next point. It was Mick Schumacher's first win this weekend in the F2. So in the F2. Might have 2 wins. You might be right there, actually. Sorry. But yeah, so we had a Schumacher on the top step in the F2s. And I didn't realise this, but he's actually really in the fight there too. He's only 6 points off the leader in the championship.
This race really changed it for him. He started the feature race in 7th place, I do believe, and he had a brilliant launch. Got into second by turn 1, and then battled with I can't remember now. Was that Callum Eilert was in first.
Yeah, the eventual winner.
Yeah, and got him, and won the race, the feature race, and that went a long way. I'm pretty sure did Mick Schumacher have a solid finish? I think he finished 4th in the feature race as well. So we got
the sprint, you mean?
In the F2s.
Yeah, Schumacher won the race.
No, he won the feature, but he came 4th in the sprint as well.
In the sprint, yeah.
Yeah. So he got a solid haul of points, and that really put him into... But Tickman got disqualified. Did you read that?
Yeah, that's what I got there.
Yeah, he was second, yeah.
Tickman won the race. He dominated it, and then he got disqualified.
That's what the feature... That was the feature race, yes?
No, that was a sprint race.
No.
That was
the sprint race, I'm sure. Mick Schumacher won the feature race outright. I'm 100%
That's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
Tickman got disqualified in the sprint race.
Yeah. So
he dominated and won the sprint race by a long way, about 6 or 7 seconds.
Yeah.
But he pulled over on the side of the road. He didn't even bring the car right around because...
That's right. He didn't have enough fuel.
He wanted to make sure they had enough fuel to take out, because apparently the regulation is that they need to be able to take 800 mils out of your tank for...
Yep, it's 1 litre. 1 litre for the F1s.
And they could only take 0.05. So there wasn't enough fuel in there, so that's why he got disqualified.
He deserved that win. Tickman, he did have a good drive there. He had a good battle, a bit of argy-bargy. But
I thought that was very interesting. They couldn't take the sample, so sorry, mate, you're out.
Tough luck, dude. Yeah.
That's a rough rule.
Yeah. And I just read just earlier this evening that Lewis Hamilton is starting a team. He's going to be a team owner. Team X44 in the Extreme E Series, which is a new championship starting next year for off-road, fully electric off-road series.
Yeah, I've heard of this, yeah.
And they're doing extreme races in like Antarctica and in the deserts and all over the place, 7 or 8 races all up. And he's going to fund it and be the team owner. So it's going to be his team, but he's not actually going to be involved day to day. He's going to help where he can, but he won't be driving or anything like that.
I like that.
Very interesting.
I like that.
He likes it because it's very sustainable.
Of course he does. I'm sure that he's going to employ all the right people, isn't he?
No meat barbecues at that team parties.
All right. Well, we got the S3 awards, guys. Superstar Surprise Stinker. I see you've been prepared today, Aussie.
Yeah, I'm prepared, buddy.
You've given it to Gasly.
I couldn't go past that. You just can't.
Yeah, well, I copied you and did Gasly as well, so he gets our 2 points apiece. And
who was your superstar, Zen?
You'd have to go Gasly.
Yeah.
He definitely deserves it, and I think the key there is he didn't make any mistakes when the pressure was on, and we knew that Sainz was faster, and Gasly did not make a single mistake.
Well, and for the 1 point, for the surpriser, the 1 point, I had to give that to Sainz. Finishing order.
I gave it to Norris. For me.
Oh, okay, nice.
Because I mean, it was a toss-up, but I had to give it to Norris.
Who would you give your 1 point to, Zen?
Yeah, I'd go with Norris for the simple fact of him muscling out a Merc on the first lap. That was brilliant. I was wondering, does he think this is a video game?
He's maturing very quickly, isn't he?
No, he's definitely...
He's a larrikin and he has a laugh, but you can tell he is a racer.
Yeah, that's the thing. He actually can drive.
Yes.
And then
who was your stinker, Josh?
Same as you. I picked Bottas.
Wow. Okay, we're the same there, eh? Who's your stinker, Zen? I'm also Bottas, man. He's just very, very disappointing. I mean, for fuck's sake, we've got one guy in the field who can actually fight with Hamilton, and even he's not up to the task.
I'm gonna go a little bit different here because that's just too easy. I'm having a tough one between two. Perez and Albon. Both their team, Verstappen, obviously the Red Bull wasn't so bad, but Stroll in particular compared to Perez, I was surprised. Really was. Perez was nowhere at any time in that race.
Yeah, since coming back with the COVID thing, he hasn't been the same.
Yeah, this one really surprised me because this was sort of like, I always knew that the pink Mercedes was going to do pretty damn well at a track like this, and Stroll actually rocked up. Sure, he made that mistake and probably got overwhelmed by the second half of the race, but he was still there and thereabouts and got the podium and so deserved. But Perez was nowhere. Did Perez even finish in the points?
Yeah, he finished 7th or 8th.
Very lucky, I guess. A couple of DNFs there that I could see.
But I was going to say, take my love of Stroll aside, but at the end of the day, you got to take what's given to you, and he's been taking it, man. He's been bringing it home.
Yeah, you're right, and I'm probably as big a critic as you are on Stroll, but he definitely brought it home. Could have won the race, but he definitely brought it home, got himself a podium, and yes, I think that made Perez look even worse than he may have already been in this weekend.
He's been doing that a lot. Look, I got to be fair here to Perez as well. He got a bit unlucky after the red flag situation, but he kind of Bottased it in that second start.
He did definitely.
He fell back a lot in that first lap.
Yeah, but you look, even in the first half, he wasn't really, featured.
I think he was up to 4th. He was running 4th, I think, before the red flag.
Was he 4th?
I think he was 4th, and
he
just fluffed it.
And then he fluffed it, yeah. So he was holding station, and then when push came to shove, I don't know, he just, I guess over the course of the season now, Perez is disappointed.
All right, man, we get it. You don't like Perez.
No, I love Perez, and that's why he's hurt me. Because everyone was saying we're going to replace Perez with Vettel, and I'm saying, no, you're getting rid of the better driver here. And he's proving me wrong. I hate that.
Well, Now we move on to Mugello, Ferrari's home race, Ferrari's 1000th race. Are they going to finish it? Are they going to finish in the points?
No.
Or are they going to have brake failure? What's the podium, boys?
Hamilton, Bottas, 1 and 2. Going to give Norris third this week. Verstappen behind him, and then Aussie boy Ricciardo in 5th.
Okay.
A little bit different, but 1 and 2, it's usually a given. It wasn't this week, but yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, are the Red Bulls going to show up, or I have to agree with you, Josh, that Ham's going to win it. I'm going to put Max in at 2nd. I'm going to put Bottas in at 3rd. I'm going to have to put Sainz. He's on form, 4th. And then let's go Norris following him in 5th. What do you reckon, Zen?
Well, I'm going to rely on some old-fashioned calculations here, and I think that this track should suit the Red Bull to a T, even though the Merc is just as good as the Red Bull in some of these high-speed corners, as was proven at Silverstone. But I think what happened here at Monza was an anomaly for Red Bull, especially for someone like Verstappen. I'm going to put Verstappen in for first, and then the two Mercedes. What order? I guess you got to go with Hamilton over Bottas. But yeah, so Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas. And then, 4th and 5th, you could throw a pink Mercedes in there, or you could throw a Papayan McLaren even in there,
I need names.
Yeah, you can't just say colours.
Okay, yeah, because it's I guess, okay, I'm going to go with Saints for 4th.
Okay.
And I'm going to give Perez one more chance, 5th, Perez.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the Renault will work here, at Mugello.
I know what you're saying with Red Bull, but I kind of fell into that trap last week at Spa, and it just didn't work. And I think Mugello is going to be, from what I've seen, I've never even actually on a sim or anything raced on it, but just from what I've seen, it looks like a really fast-flowing track, similar to Spa to me. So we'll see.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I don't know if it has the straights as long as Spa, but I would put it more in the Silverstone category. But
Silverstone, okay.
Yeah, but you're right. Like even the Mercs even obliterated everyone there.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that Red Bull can pull something off with a bit of strategy, and Verstappen is the kind of driver that will drive that car at 101%.
Yeah, I'm starting to think after this weekend now, it's almost like it's time for him to start looking towards next year as well and just enjoy the races that are coming up.
Oh, I don't think his old man will let him.
So, let's just quickly gloss over the atrocious fantasy league that we had this week, Josh.
I thought I did better.
I only got 57 points. I fell from 5th to 9th in the standings. I had a terrible week. I had both the Red Bull drivers, the Red Bull car as my main team, and it just screwed me.
And what did I get? 80-something. 82.
82.
Staying 10th.
82.
Annoyingly, my second team that I manage got 100.
Every week he tells us this.
Got 199 points.
Wow, 199 points.
Yeah. So you had Gasly as turbo, right?
I certainly did.
That must be close to one of the overall highest points, man.
Oh, I don't know, but I'm just
200. That's up there.
Both my alternate teams are doing like twice as good as the one I've entered. It's so annoying, but anyway, it is what it is. So I can't do much there. What about? Are you in the fantasy leagues then? I don't know.
No. I always go with my heart, and I lose like big time. I'm a sucker for those. I'm a real sucker for them.
And then on our side of things, in the FNL1 Demo 1 update for the week, there isn't too much going on. We had to postpone the ACC GT Pro Series this past weekend because due to Father's Day. So that will be back in 2 weeks' time. So the 20th of September is when we will be doing our Hungary race, which was supposed to be on last Sunday, but that's what happened there. And then we had the F1 Championship, the Vietnam race. Now, for anyone out there who's been waiting to see an actual Formula One race at Vietnam, and if you didn't catch Josh's stream on Friday night, here's your chance. Both these gentlemen were commentating and streaming it, so I'll hand it over to you guys for a quick review.
Well, it was clear early on that the drivers didn't enjoy the track, but it certainly proved to be entertaining, especially the last lap. That was incredible. We had the guys try and fit 4 wide down to a hairpin, and then Blinky around the outside of one of the racing points through one of the fast, Maggot Beckett-like section. It was just crazy stuff. I loved it. But a bit of an on and off track though.
I think from a spectator's point of view, fantastic, because the track is so, chaotic for the driver. We noticed, I think it was turn 6, which is the braking zone corner after the first big straight, and it's such a tight right-hander that's followed by a left into this big, well, not big, but bell-shaped corner that brings them back onto the next straight, parallel with the first. And in there, so many of the drivers were sticking their nose up because it looks like you can. And then the track gets so tight, and all of these guys were copping front-end damage as the car ahead just cuts them off. And there's only one line through there, and it's very, very narrow. And I know it's only sim racing, but I can't help but feel that a lot of front wings are going to get snapped off in the real thing come next year if we do hopefully go to Vietnam.
Yeah. Well, there was talk that they were still trying to make it by the end of this year, but I don't think that's...
No, I don't think it can happen.
Yeah, definitely. But we are going to have to wait another year to get there next year, I think.
So it was BP with the win, Hawks in second, and his teammate Wardy's first podium in a while, I think.
Yeah, solid points for the Mercs in the FNL1 series.
And the highlights are up on the highlights channel for the Demo 1, or you can watch the full thing on the Facebook of FNL1 or Demo 1. It's your choice. But all the links you'll find on the socials and stuff. And yeah, like you said, GT Pro Series is postponed till another 2 weeks, so we have to wait for that one, unfortunately.
So have a look at the race, guys, or at least the highlights maybe, if you want to see what racing around the new Vietnam track is on the Demo 1 socials there, and let us know if you're excited for the actual real things to get there.
Yeah, and in further sim racing esports news, we had the new VR10 League start. It's got a weird broadcasting rights though, because it's I think it's broadcast on BT Sports or something in Europe or UK, and it's the only place you can watch it at the moment. So I've only seen what's been put on Twitter about the results, and it's really disappointing. It's like a team championship because the first round we had, I think it was the Porsche 24 Redline team beat the BMW Motorsports sim racing team. There's the Racing Point sim team in there. There's heaps of other ones. So they're going head to head, relay racing. It's just, trying something different on the sim platform. But I haven't been able to watch a single bloody second of it because can't watch it online, so it's a bit disappointing.
I wonder if that's a sign of things to come with a couple of these, series signing major deals with TV companies and moving away from YouTube.
It seems so dumb because they got some really big names in the sim world there. Facebook, it's got 170 odd likes on the Facebook page. I've really only heard about this on Twitter, and you can only see it on TV. And I'm like, wow. Surely that's not good for, I don't know, just starting out. It just seems backwards to me, because I think Zen at the start of the podcast said something about, once F1 started becoming on broadcast television here in Australia, it's when you could, follow it a bit more. But, these days we get internet.
It's a different world.
Stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you. Especially when you're starting out, Yeah,
it's like the A-League in Australia. Like, it's on free to on pay TV, so you can't watch it on free-to-air. That might have changed with SBS. I haven't been following it recently, but I think when it did, it changed who could watch it now. So, yeah, it's just a bizarre choice, and I don't know. That Ben Daly, Tiamaduk, is one of the commentators.
Oh, he's one of the commentators.
Yeah, Nick Hamilton's the other one there. So, got some big names. The Ferrari Hubs esports qualifiers second round starts this week as well. Dirt Rally World Series is continuing on, and we had the Porsche Esports Super Cup on the weekend at the Nürburgring. Race Rooms start their first weekly ranked endurance races, so you need a 1600 rating or higher to be invited to that. And BMW Motorsport, they've been doubling down on their sim racing at the moment, along with Porsche. You can still qualify for the M2 CS Racing Cup in R Factor 2. So there's a little bit going on at the moment. It's just, you really got to be over it. Otherwise, sim racing doesn't do a very good job of marketing itself.
No,
I don't know what you guys think.
Don't. Yeah, no, they don't have a... What do you call it? Like an old TV guide. Like, this is nowhere simple to know what's going on in sim racing if you are into following it.
Yeah, well, Porsche Esports Super Cup, the website's never updated until a few weeks later. The VR10 website still says it's coming soon, and, it's already happened. I don't know why sim racing's like this, but we need to fix this, because...
So for anyone out there, there's a great business idea for you. A TV guide for sim racing.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the short of it all, and pretty much what's going on at the moment.
And that is was it the first Italian race for the year? It is, with 2 more to come. We got Mugello next week, and then we go off to Imola a little bit later on. So we've got 3 Italian races this year, so that's the first one. So if the other 2 are as exciting as Monza, we will not be sad.
Are you guys actually really excited that right now we're going to go to some really different racetracks where none of the teams have any data?
I've been saying that to Josh and in the podcast, and I'm loving that, and I'm looking forward to how that's all going to unfold now with all these fresh new tracks.
And we're going to get a lot of track time through the practice sessions too.
That's right, and I think that you're going to see a tightening of the guard. Data. You're going to see a tightening of the guard, because I think the Mercs will still be quick, and the regular guys will still be up there, but the gaps will be tighter now because of that lack of data.
Data, cash is king, and then next it's data. But thanks for sticking it out. Almost 90 minutes tonight, so we had a lot to talk about, but it was a fantastic race, and yeah, I'm glad I got to witness that one, because it was unforgettable.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next race that Josh gives a 10.
So
yeah.
I'll give more 10s.
Until next week, thank you for joining us then, and thank you as usual, Josh. And till next week, guys, push it to the limit and keep it on track.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.